The day the galaxy forgot Earth, humanity remembered its power. Part 1. The Forgotten Ones. The massive Galactic Council chamber loomed like a cathedral built from captured starlight. Thousands of alien representatives from across the Milky Way sat in tiered seating that stretched upward until lost in shadow. Holographic displays danced with strange symbols as the trial of humanity commenced. Admiral Ilara Voss stood alone at the center of the chamber, the last official representative of Earth. Her gray uniform, bearing the simple blue and green insignia of a planet most in attendance had forgotten or chosen to ignore, seemed plain compared to the elaborate dress of the alien delegates. Before her floated the 7 arbiters Aros, ancient beings, whose species had achieved spaceflight when humans were still learning to make fire, their hovering platforms arranged in a perfect semicircle, forcing Ilara to turn constantly to address them all. The representatives of Sol 3, designation Earth, who stand accused of violating Galactic Non-Interference Protocol 7293 Beta, announced Grand Arbiter Zolon, his translucent skin revealing the slow pulse of multiple hearts. Evidence indicates your species has been manipulating pre-spaceflight civilizations across the Orion Spur. Ilara didn't flinch. Behind her stood 5 other humans in similar uniforms, faces showing no emotion. The evidence against Earth was fabricated, a ploy by the Vexari Dominion to remove humanity from galactic affairs after humans discovered their secret weapons program. Furthermore, continued Zolon, in light of these violations and Earth's continued insignificance to galactic stability, this council proposes selective memory erasure. All non-human sentients will have records and memories of Earth and its colonies removed from their consciousness. Earth will be forgotten, quarantined, and removed from all star charts. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Such punishment was unprecedented. You would erase an entire species from galactic memory? Ilara's voice carried without shouting, steady and controlled. After everything we've contributed? Your contributions are minimal, replied Arbiter Vexaloran, the Vexari representative. His mandibles clicked with barely concealed satisfaction. Earth is a footnote in galactic history, easily forgotten. Ilara exchanged a glance with her team. This was the moment they had prepared for. Before you vote, she said, Council protocol demands the accused be permitted to present evidence in their defense. Proceed. Zolon waved dismissively. Though I doubt Ilara activated a small device on her wrist. Immediately, every screen in the chamber went dark. When they flickered back to life, they displayed a single symbol, Earth's planetary designation. What is the meaning of this? Demanded Zolon. You've already forgotten us once, Ilara said, stepping forward. 200 years ago, when the Nyx cascade threatened to collapse half the galaxy. When every advanced species retreated to their core worlds. The chamber fell silent. You've forgotten that it was humans who discovered the quantum stabilization technique that saved billions of lives. Ilara continued, her voice growing stronger. You've forgotten that we gave it freely, asking nothing in return. The screens began cycling through images. Human scientists working alongside aliens. Earth vessels evacuating civilians from doomed worlds. Human diplomats brokering peace treaties. And now, Ilara said, you're about to learn what happens when you try to make the galaxy forget us a second time. She nodded to one of her team members, who activated another device. Throughout the chamber, hundreds of previously invisible quantum nodes activated, placed over decades by humans who had anticipated this betrayal. We don't need your permission to exist, Ilara announced as the council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. But we're giving you one chance to remember who we really are. Behind her, Earth's flagship appeared in the viewport, emerging from stealth mode, along with 5,000 other human vessels that had been hidden in plain sight around the council homeworld. Now, Ilara said calmly, shall we begin the real discussion? The memory erasure came without warning 3 days later. Despite Ilara's show of force at the council hearing, the Vexari faction had secretly accelerated their plans. The memory erasure protocol activated while negotiations were still underway, affecting billions of beings across thousands of worlds simultaneously. Ilara was in mid-sentence, explaining a proposed compromise to a committee of mid-level bureaucrats, when their eyes suddenly glazed over. Who are you? Asked a 4-armed Tellurian who moments before had been nodding along with Ilara's points. How did you get in here?
The security,
Throughout the massive council station, similar scenes played out as every non-human suddenly forgot Earth existed. Human diplomats, technicians, and visitors found themselves treated as intruders. Code Black, Ilara whispered into her communicator as she backed away from the increasingly hostile aliens. All personnel evacuate. Rendezvous at Shadow Point. The human diplomatic vessel barely escaped the Council homeworld, evading patrol ships that fired upon them as unknown intruders. What should have been a simple departure turned into a running battle, as former allies now saw human ships as mysterious invaders. Status report. Ilara demanded once they'd made the jump to FTL travel. Commander Jackson, her security chief, looked grim. We've lost contact with 37 diplomatic missions. Reports coming in from across the galaxy. The erasure is nearly universal. Humans are being detained, ships impounded. It's chaos. Ilara closed her eyes briefly. And our contingency? Operating as planned. The fleet is already withdrawing to the fallback positions. Their vessel, the Terran Diplomatic Corps flagship Remembrance, arrived at the rendezvous point 3 days later, a hidden base deep within the unmapped Obsidian Nebula. Here, where thick dust clouds blocked conventional sensors, humanity had been preparing for the worst for decades. As Ilara's ship docked, she saw hundreds of human vessels already gathered. Everything from massive colony ships to small merchant vessels. The evacuation protocols had worked, at least partially. Fleet Admiral Marcus Rourke was waiting when she disembarked. Tall and weathered, with steel-gray hair and eyes that missed nothing, he'd been warning the Earth government about the possibility of galactic betrayal for years. You were right, Ilara said by way of greeting. I didn't want to believe it would come to this. Neither did I, Rourke replied. But humanity has survived worse. Walk with me. They moved through the hidden base Yao, a massive asteroid hollowed out and expanded over decades. What had started as a contingency plan had grown into a fully operational command center, with capacity for thousands. How bad is it? Ilara asked as they entered a secure situation room. Rourke activated a holographic display showing the galaxy. Red markers appeared across the mapa, thousands of them, representing human outposts, colonies, and ships. We've lost contact with about 60% of our people, he said. Some got the warning and are en route to secure locations. Others... He didn't need to finish. The Vexari moved faster than we anticipated, Ilara said. But why? Our fleet demonstration should have given them pause. Because they're afraid, said a new voice. They turned to see Dr. Naomi Wellesley enter, the lead scientist on Project Mnemosynia Humanity's deep research into xenoneurology and memory structures. The memory erasure wasn't just about erasing us, Naomi explained. It was about protecting themselves from what we discovered about their weapon program. If other species remembered us, they might remember why we were targeted. Rourke nodded. That's our working theory. But there's something else you should see. He adjusted the holographic display, zooming in on various planets. Small green dots appeared, just a few at first, then dozens, then hundreds. What am I looking at? Ilara asked. Anomalies, Naomi said, excitement in her voice. The memory erasure isn't complete. There are individuals across the galaxy who seem to be immune or resistant. How is that possible? Ilara asked. We're still figuring that out, Naomi admitted. But it appears certain neural patterns resist the erasure technology. Species with distributed nervous systems, unique brain chemistry, or those with specific genetic variations. Can we use this? Ilara asked, her tactical mind already racing. Rourke smiled thinly. We already are. We've established contact with several of these individuals, which brings us to our next guest. The door slid open again and an alien entered. Tall and slender with iridescent scales and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, the being moved with unusual grace. Ilara recognized the species Uarigelian, known for their mercantile network spanning hundreds of systems. Admiral Voss, meet Talendrez, Rourke said. One of the few non-humans who still remembers Earth exists. How is this possible? Ilara asked, extending her hand in the human greeting gesture, which the alien mirrored perfectly. My people evolved in a system with unusual radiation patterns, Talon explained, his voice melodic. Our neural pathways are resistant to certain types of manipulation. When everyone around me suddenly couldn't remember their human business partners or friends, I knew something was very wrong. Talon has been helping us establish a network of others like him, Rourke explained. Aliens who remember us confused by a galaxy that suddenly doesn't. Elara felt the first spark of hope since the erasure. How many? Not many, Talon admitted. Perhaps 1 in a million, but we are scattered across many worlds, many species, and we... The day the galaxy forgot Earth, humanity remembered its power part. 2. Echoes of existence. The galactic hub world of Nexus Prime was in chaos. In the central control tower that managed traffic for over 10,000 ships daily, warning alarms blared as screens flickered with error messages. Chief Controller Zivrana, a 6-limbed Centaurian with metallic blue skin, stared in confusion at the failing systems. "What's happening?" she demanded, all 3 of her eyes blinking rapidly in distress. Her technical team frantically worked at their stations, tentacles and appendages flying across interfaces. "The navigation matrix is failing," one technician reported, "and the translator network is down in 3 sectors." "That's impossible," Zivrana insisted. "These systems have functioned flawlessly for decades." But across the room, more stations reported failures. Life support regulation in the residential districts, power distribution to the commercial zones, orbital stabilization for the thousands of satellites. "There's a gap in the maintenance records," another technician said, mandibles clicking in confusion, like someone was supposed to be managing these systems, but... His voice trailed off, unable to articulate the strange emptiness in his memory. Unknown to them, the memory erasure had removed all knowledge of the human engineers who had designed, built and maintained these critical systems. The galaxy was beginning to feel the absence of a species it no longer remembered existed. 3 light-years away, Talon Drez moved carefully through the crowded spaceport on Rigel 4, his home planet. As a merchant who specialized in rare commodities, he was well known here, but now he moved like a fugitive. Since the day everyone around him had mysteriously forgotten the existence of humans, Talon had realized something profoundly wrong had happened to the galaxy. While others carried on, oblivious to the sudden gaps in their memories, he remembered everything. His human business partners, the Earth colonies he'd visited, the human-designed technologies that were now mysteriously failing. In a private booth at the back of a dimly lit establishment called the Stellar Drift, Talon met with 3 other aliens who shared his immunity to the memory erasure. "It's getting worse," said Krell, a bulky reptilian with armored skin. "The Central Hospital on Proxima 2 lost all their advanced surgical protocols. 15 patients died before they figured out backup procedures. The trading hub at Barnard's Star has completely collapsed," added Mira, a graceful avian being with iridescent feathers. "The routing algorithms simply stopped working." The 4th member of their group, a silicon-based entity named Xor, who communicated through light patterns on its crystalline surface, flashed a rapid sequence of colors. The translation came through on their shared network. "The Galactic Council is covering it up. They're blaming system failures on solar flares and quantum anomalies." Talon nodded grimly. "They can't admit they've erased an entire species from memory. A species that was far more integrated into galactic infrastructure than anyone realized." "I've found something," Krell said, lowering his voice further. "Evidence that the memory erasure was engineered by the Vexari Dominion. They falsified the charges against Earth. Can you prove it?" Talon asked, hope rising. "Not yet," Krell admitted, "but I'm close. The Vexari were developing something called the Void Cascader, a weapon capable of collapsing spacetime. Humans discovered it, and the Vexari engineered this whole scenario to silence them. Then we need to find more like us," Talon decided. "More who remember, and we need to contact the humans who escaped." Deep in the Obsidian Nebula, aboard the hidden human base, Admiral Alara Voss stood before a group of Earth's highest-ranking military and scientific leaders. The holographic display behind her showed the spreading systems failures across the galaxy. "Operation Echo is proceeding as planned," she reported. "We've established contact with approximately 40% of our off-world personnel. Many are in hiding, but they're implementing the protocols." Fleet Admiral Rourke nodded approvingly. "And our invisible network?" Ilara gestured, and the display changed to show a web of connections spreading across the galactic map. "Project Prometheus is fully operational. Our quantum communication relays remain undetected, allowing our people to coordinate without the Council being aware." "What about the exposed colony in the Tau Ceti system?" asked a grim-faced woman in the uniform of Earth's Colonial Defense Force. Ilara's expression darkened. We lost contact 6 hours ago. The Vexari Dominion launched a preemptive strike against the settlement. Preliminary reports suggest few survivors. A heavy silence fell over the room. They attacked a civilian colony. Someone whispered. Because they're afraid, Rourke said, his voice hard. They know what happens if the galaxy remembers us. Dr. Naomi Wellesley stepped forward, her scientific team behind her. We've made progress understanding the memory erasure technology. It targets specific neural pathways associated with relational memory. Essentially, it removes the connections between concepts rather than the concepts themselves. Can it be reversed? Ilara asked. Naomi hesitated. Theoretically, yes. But it would require an enormous power source and a galactic-scale broadcast network, which we don't have, Rourke noted. Not yet, Naomi corrected. But there's something else you should know. We've been studying why some alien individuals are immune to the erasure. She activated her own display, showing brain scans of various alien species. These individuals all have something in common. A rare neural configuration we're calling the mnemonic lattice. It appears in roughly 1 in a million non-human sentients across all species. That's still millions of individuals given the galactic population, Ilara noted. Exactly, Naomi agreed. And we've discovered something even more interesting. Humans didn't just integrate our technology into galactic infrastructure. We integrated ourselves. She showed new images, microscopic structures embedded in standard galactic technology. For the past 50 years, all human-designed technology has included these nanoscale memory structures. They contain compressed data about Earth humanity and our contributions to galactic society. Rourke leaned forward, eyes widening slightly. You're saying we've been leaving breadcrumbs throughout the galaxy? Insurance against something like this? More than breadcrumbs, Naomi said. Complete archives waiting to be activated. Combined with the aliens who still remember us, we have the foundation for a countermeasure. As the human leadership discussed their next moves, across the galaxy, the Vexari Dominion was also holding a secret meeting. In a chamber designed to block all forms of surveillance, High Commander Vexaloran addressed his inner circle. The memory erasure was successful, he reported. All knowledge of Earth and its colonies has been purged from galactic consciousness. Yet problems are spreading, noted his chief scientist, gesturing at reports of failing systems. The humans were more embedded in our infrastructure than we anticipated. Minor inconveniences, Vexaloran dismissed. The systems will be reconfigured. What matters is that no one remembers their accusations against us. The Void Cascade project can proceed without interference. And the humans who escaped? Asked his security director. They are isolated, forgotten, powerless, Vexaloran said confidently. Without recognition from the galactic community, they pose no threat. At that moment, alarm signals blared throughout the Vexari command complex. Displays showed a massive energy surge in a nearby system. What is happening? Vexaloran demanded. Unknown, Commander, a technician replied. We're detecting quantum fluctuations unlike anything in our records. The display showed a Vexari military outpost, one that had been establishing a perimeter around Earth's solar system. As they watched, the outpost's communications suddenly went silent. Surveillance drones showed the outpost intact but completely powered down. Launch an investigation team, Vexaloran ordered, and accelerate the Void Cascade timeline. If the humans are revealing their capabilities, we must be ready. Back on the Galactic Council homeworld, Grand Arbiter Zolan received the reports from the Vexari with growing concern. The memory erasure had seemed like an elegant solution, removing a troublesome species from galactic affairs without the messiness of open conflict. But now systems were failing. Strange anomalies were appearing, and there were reports of individuals across the galaxy experiencing memory fragments or flashes of beings that supposedly never existed. The erasure is weakening, his chief advisor warned. Impossible, Zolan insisted. The technology was perfected over centuries, yet the evidence suggests otherwise. And there's more. The advisor hesitated. We've detected unusual activity in the quantum substrate, patterns that suggest organized communication but using methods we don't understand. Zolan's multiple hearts beat faster in alarm. Find the source, whatever it takes. On a distant mining world called Kareth 4, A simple excavation operation uncovered something unexpected. As mining drones cut into a new asteroid belt, they uncovered a small human outpost, hidden and abandoned. The alien miners, having no memory of humans, reported finding strange artifacts of unknown origin. Galactic Council investigators arrived to catalog the discovery. As they activated the old human technology, they unknowingly triggered a dormant protocol. Throughout the facility, microscopic nodes activated, sending a quantum signal that couldn't be detected. The day the galaxy forgot Earth, humanity remembered its power part. 3. The power within, the Vexari battle cruiser emerged from faster-than-light travel with weapons already charging. Before it floated a small human research station orbiting a nondescript moon. The station had remained hidden for weeks after the memory erasure, but a random patrol had detected its energy signature. Unidentified station, the Vexari commander broadcast. You are in violation of Galactic Council directives. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. Inside the station, the 6 human researchers looked at each other with grim determination. They had known discovery was inevitable. Prometheus protocol activated, the lead scientist said into her communicator. Countdown initiated. Outside, the Vexari cruiser launched a volley of energy weapons. The blasts hit an invisible barrier 2 kilometers from the station and simply disappeared. No explosion, no deflection, war. The energy was absorbed completely. Impossible, the Vexari weapons officer hissed. The commander ordered another volley, with the same result. As they prepared a third attack, sensors detected a massive energy buildup within the station. Evasive maneuvers, the commander shouted, but it was too late. A pulse of energy erupted from the station, not directed at the Vexari ship, but expanding outward in all directions. As it passed through the cruiser, every system went offline. Engines, weapons, life support are all dead. Only emergency backups kept the crew alive. From the bridge, they watched in helpless rage as the human station folded in on itself and vanished. Not destroyed, but somehow transported elsewhere. The pulse continued expanding, crossing light years in seconds, passing through planets, stars, and ships without apparent effect. But in its wake, something changed. On countless worlds, aliens paused in their daily activities, experiencing strange flashes of memory, brief images of beings they couldn't quite recall meeting. In the hidden base within the Obsidian Nebula, Admiral Ilara Voss received confirmation. Phase 1 complete, she reported to the gathered human leadership. The quantum resonance pulse has destabilized the memory erasure effect in the Orion arm. Destabilized, not reversed, Admiral Rourke clarified. They still don't remember Yusei Bohm, but they're beginning to question the gaps in their memories. And the research team? Someone asked. Successfully extracted, Ilara confirmed. Their station utilized the new quantum translocation drive. The Vexari thought they destroyed themselves, but they're already back with us. Dr. Naomi Wellesley stepped forward, excitement evident in her voice. The pulse did more than we expected. It activated dormant neural pathways in beings with even partial immunity to the erasure. Our network of allies is growing exponentially. On the display behind her, green dots representing aliens who remembered Earth multiplied across the galactic mappa, from thousands to millions in a matter of hours. Now we move to Phase 2, Rourke said. The archives. On the planet Rigel 4, Talon Drez felt the change immediately. He had been in mid-conversation with a potential recruit to their resistance when the quantum pulse passed through. The other alien, a philosopher who had been experiencing strange memory gaps, suddenly straightened. Earth, the philosopher said, the word feeling both foreign and familiar on his tongue. I remember, humans. Talon's communicator chimed with dozens of similar reports. Across the galaxy, those with the rare neural configuration that resisted the memory erasure were now fully immune and masked and actively remembering. It's time, Talon told his growing network. Begin the information campaign. On thousands of worlds, aliens who remembered began leaving subtle clues for others. Not direct information about humans, or that would be dismissed, or reported to authorities, but questions designed to highlight the inconsistencies in the official narrative. Why? Did certain technologies have no recorded inventors? How had critical medical procedures been developed? Who had negotiated the peace treaty that ended the Centaurian-Arcturian War a decade ago? As these questions spread, the Galactic Council found itself facing a crisis. Grand Arbiter Zolan convened an emergency session. The memory erasure is failing, he told the assembled representatives, his multiple hearts beating erratically with stress. Reports of memory fragments are increasing exponentially. How is this possible? Demanded an Arcturian delegate. The technology was supposed to be permanent. Unknown, Zolan admitted. But the effect is spreading. If it continues, the entire erasure could collapse within weeks. Then we must find these humans, said the Vexari representative, Vex Loran, and eliminate them completely before they can restore the galaxy's memory. In the shadows of the chamber, a junior aide to the Rigelian delegation listened carefully. One of Talon's recruits, he would relay this information to the Resistance Network, and through them, to the humans in hiding. Deep in the uncharted regions near the galactic core, Admiral Ilara Voss led a small fleet of human ships on the most critical mission of Operation Echo. Their destination, a dimensional pocket hidden near a cluster of neutron stars, where the intense gravitational forces masked its presence from conventional sensors. Approaching coordinates, reported the navigator of Ilara's flagship, the Remembrance. Activate dimensional shift drives, Ilara ordered. The human fleet shimmered and seemed to slide sideways from normal space, entering a bubble of altered reality that had been created decades ago as humanity's ultimate insurance policy. Inside this pocket dimension floated a massive structure. Not a station or a ship, but a perfect sphere 10 kilometers in diameter. Its surface was etched with the history of human achievement, records of Earth's ecosystems, and the collective knowledge of human civilization. The archives, Ilara whispered. This was humanity's greatest secret. A complete backup of their civilization, hidden where no enemy could find it. Created after the Nyx Cascade nearly destroyed the galaxy 2 centuries earlier. The archives contained everything needed to restore humanity's place in galactic memory. As her ship docked with the massive sphere, Ilara led a team inside. The interior was a marvel of engineering. A self-contained ecosystem with its own atmosphere and gravity, maintained by technologies far beyond what humans openly shared with the galactic community. Dr. James Reeves, the caretaker of the archives, greeted them at the entrance. Despite his important role, he looked like a simple academic Athen, with perpetually rumpled clothes and distracted eyes that had seen wonders few could imagine. Admiral Voss, he said, shaking her hand. I've been expecting you since the memory erasure. The archives are ready. Show me, Ilara said. Reeves led them through vast chambers containing physical and digital records of human history and achievement. But their destination was deeper still as Tao, a central core where the true power of the archives resided. The memory matrix, Reeves announced as they entered a spherical chamber. At its center floated a crystalline structure that pulsed with inner light, the most sophisticated quantum computer ever created by humans. It contains perfect recordings of every aspect of human civilization. Can it counter the memory erasure? Ilara asked. Not alone, Reeves admitted. But combined with the resonance pulse you've already deployed and the network of immune aliens, yes. We can restore what was taken. Then prepare for extraction, Ilara ordered. We need to get the Matrix to our main facility in the Obsidian Nebula. As her team worked to carefully disconnect the memory matrix for transport, Ilara received an urgent communication from Admiral Rourke. The Vexari have launched their fleet, he reported, his holographic image flickering with interference. All 7 battle groups. They're conducting a systematic search of uncharted regions. They're looking for us, Ilara realized. Yes, and worse, Okaru. We've detected unusual energy signatures suggesting they're preparing to deploy prototype weapons, possibly the Void Cascade. We need more time, Ilara said, watching her team work with the delicate memory matrix. I'll give you time, Rourke promised. The diversion fleet is ready. We'll keep the Vexari busy while you extract the archives. Before Ilara could protest, Rourke's image disappeared. She knew what a diversion meant. Rourke would be leading human ships against a vastly superior Vexari force, likely sustaining heavy casualties to buy her mission the time it needed. Meanwhile, on the Galactic Council homeworld, Grand Arbiter Zolan met secretly with Vexa Loran in a chamber designed to block all forms of surveillance. The situation is deteriorating faster than predicted, Zolan said without preamble. Memory fragments are coalescing. Some individuals are beginning to fully remember Earth. The human vermin are more resilient than we anticipated, Vexa Loran admitted. But our fleet will find their hiding places, and the void cascade will ensure they never threaten us again. The Council grows suspicious, Zolan warned. Questions are being asked about the origin of the memory erasure technology, about why certain systems that no one remembers creating are now failing. Then accelerate our timeline, Vexaloran said. Once the void cascade is deployed against major human settlements, there will be nothing left to remember. The erasure will become permanent reality. Neither noticed the small maintenance drone in the corner of the room, one of thousands that kept the Council complex functioning. Its behavior seemed normal, following standard cleaning protocols. But inside, the day the galaxy forgot Earth, humanity remembered its power. Part 4. Remembrance Rising. The ancient chamber of the Aeon Collective seemed to exist partially outside normal space-time. Walls shimmered with patterns that hurt human eyes to follow, and gravity shifted subtly as Admiral Marcus Rourke walked deeper into the structure. His small diplomatic team followed cautiously, their footsteps echoing strangely in the otherworldly acoustics. The battle against the Vexari fleet had been costly. Rourke had lost 7 ships and hundreds of personnel, but they had bought the precious time needed for Admiral Voss to secure the memory matrix from the archives. Now battered but determined, Rourke had come to seek help from the one species in the galaxy that existed beyond the reach of the memory erasure. The Aeon Collective were among the oldest sentient beings in the Milky Way, having achieved spaceflight when most current species were still primordial microbes. They rarely interfaced with the galactic community, preferring to observe from their unique perspective partially outside conventional reality. Admiral Rourke, a voice echoed around them, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere. We have been expecting you. 3 figures materialized before the human delegation. They appeared vaguely humanoid but translucent, their bodies rippling with colors that didn't exist in normal space. These were physical projections, The actual beings existed in dimensions humans couldn't perceive directly. Honored observers, Rourke said, bowing slightly. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. The memory erasure has created ripples in the quantum fabric, said the central figure, its voice melodic but alien. We have observed the attempt to remove humanity from galactic consciousness. Then you remember us, Rourke said with relief. As we hoped. We exist partially outside the time stream affected by the erasure technology, explained another Aeon. We remember what was, what is, and some of what may yet be. Then you know why we've come, Rourke said. We need your help to reverse the erasure before the Vexari deploy their void. Cascade weapon against Earth, the Aeons communicated, among themselves in patterns of light and color impossible for humans to interpret. Finally, the central figure spoke again. The memory erasure technology violates the natural flow of quantum information, it said. Its reversal would restore balance. This we can assist with, hope surged through Rourke. Thank you. With your help, However, the Aeon continued, the energy required to reverse an effect spanning the entire galaxy would be immense. It could potentially destabilize the quantum foundations of this region of space. Millions could die in the resulting disruptions. Rourke's hope dimmed. Is there no safer way? There is an alternative, said the third Aeon, its form shifting into complex patterns. Your species possesses a unique neural configuration, one we have not observed in other organic beings in this galaxy. What do you mean? Rourke asked. Humans are capable of a form of quantum entanglement within their thought processes, the Aeon explained. Your consciousness operates partially on quantum principles. What you might call intuition or creativity are expressions of quantum processing that most species cannot achieve. And this helps us how? Rourke asked, struggling to follow the alien logic. If enough humans were to synchronize their quantum neural patterns, think as one, or the resulting quantum field could power the reversal without external energy sources. The memory erasure could be undone using thought itself. Rourke stared at the ancient being, stunned by the implication. You're saying humans could generate enough quantum energy through thinking together? Your species has always sensed this capability, the Aeon said. You call it many things, a collective consciousness, the power of prayer, mass meditation. But you have never fully harnessed it because you lack the technology to synchronize neural patterns precisely enough. But such technology could be created, Rourke pressed. Yes, confirmed the Aeon. and we will help you design it. Meanwhile, in the Obsidian Nebula, Admiral Alara Voss watched as the memory matrix was carefully integrated with the quantum broadcast network. Dr. Naomi Wellesley supervised the delicate procedure, her team working with focused intensity. Status, Alara asked. Integration at 68%, Naomi replied without looking up from her monitors. The matrix is accepting our transmission protocols, but aligning the quantum frequencies is challenging. How much longer? At least 12 hours before we're ready for a galaxy-wide broadcast. Alara nodded, hiding her concern. Intelligence reports from their resistance network indicated the Vexari Void Cascade weapon would be deployed against Earth within 18 hours. The timing would be dangerously close. Her communications officer interrupted with an urgent message. Admiral, we're receiving a priority transmission from Admiral Rourke. He's returning from the Aeon Collective. Minutes later, Rourke's holographic image stood before Alara and her command team, explaining the Aeon's proposal. Neural quantum synchronization? Naomi asked, her scientific mind racing with the possibilities. That's theoretically possible, but we've never attempted it on the scale they're suggesting. Can it be done in time? Alara asked the critical question. Naomi and her team conferred quickly. Yes, she finally said. Using the memory matrix as a central processor and the quantum broadcast network as a conduit, we could create a synchronization field encompassing all human minds within range. All human minds? Alara repeated. How many would we need? The Aeon suggests at least 1 million in perfect synchronization, Rourke said. We have approximately 3 million humans in the nebula base and connected outposts. Enough to power a galaxy-wide reversal? If the Aeon's calculations are correct, yes. Alara made her decision. Begin preparations immediately. Naomi, work with the Aeon data to create the synchronization field, and send word to Talon's resistance network. We need them to delay the Void Cascade deployment by any means necessary. On the Vexari command ship approaching Earth's solar system, High Commander Vex Loren supervised final preparations for the Void Cascade deployment. The weapon now housed in a massive vessel larger than any conventional warship, pulsed with ominous energy. Final calibrations complete, reported his chief weapons officer. The Cascade is ready for deployment against the target planet. Excellent, Vex Loren said, his mandibles clicking with satisfaction. Once Earth is erased from the space-time continuum, the memory erasure will be irreversible. No one will question the gaps in their memories when there is nothing left to remember. An aide approached cautiously. Commander, we've detected unusual activity near the Galactic Council homeworld. The human female who confronted the Council, Admiral Vossio, has been sighted. Vex Loren's compound eyes narrowed. Impossible. Our forces are blockading all approaches to the Council system. She appears to have infiltrated using some form of stealth technology. Security images confirm her identity with 89% certainty. What could she hope to accomplish alone? Vex Loren wondered. Then with sudden alarm he realized the implications. It's a diversion. Deploy additional security to the Council chambers and accelerate the Void Cascade timeline. We launch in 6 hours, not 12. On the Council homeworld Alara Vossa, or rather, a perfect holographic projection of Hera moved through the government complex with purposeful steps. The projection technology, combined with carefully timed electronic intrusions into the security systems, created the illusion of her physical presence. While the Vexari scrambled to respond to this apparent infiltration, Alara's actual operation proceeded elsewhere in the complex. A small team of humans, led by her security chief Commander Jackson, placed quantum data nodes at critical junctions throughout the Council's communication network. When activated, these nodes would broadcast the truth about the Vexari conspiracy directly into the Council's most secure systems, with evidence too compelling to ignore. The operation was high risk. All team members knew they might not escape, but essential to fracturing the alliance between the Vexari and the Council before the Void Cascade deployed. Across the galaxy, the Resistance Network, coordinated by Talon-Drez, launched simultaneous operations against Vexari interests. Not direct attacks where they lacked the military power for that hour, but strategic reveals of hidden Vexari research facilities, exposing their violations of Council law to local authorities. On the luxury world of New Azure, A prominent entertainment broadcaster was hijacked for 18 seconds, long enough to plant a subliminal message that temporarily broke through the memory erasure for millions of viewers. They experienced brief, confusing flashes of human faces, human worlds, human achievements. What was that? People asked each other in the aftermath, struggling to understand the strange familiarity they had briefly felt. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Memory fragments were coalescing, systems failures were escalating, and disturbing evidence of Vexari secret operations was surfacing on dozens of worlds. "This cannot be coincidence," declared the Arcturian representative. "Something coordinated is happening." Grand Arbiter Zolan struggled to maintain control of the session. "These are isolated incidents being exploited by enemies of galactic stability." "What enemies?" demanded the Rigelian delegate. "You speak of threats yet provide no evidence." The day the galaxy forgot Earth, humanity remembered its power part. 5. The day of remembering. The great chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so crowded. Representatives from every spacefaring civilization in the Milky Way had gathered for what many were calling the most significant session in 10,000 years. The tiered seating, designed to accommodate 5,000 delegates, overflowed with nearly twice that number, as additional platforms had been hastily constructed to handle the unprecedented attendance. At the center of the chamber stood Admiral Ilara Voss, no longer alone but flanked by a delegation of humans from various colonies and Earth itself. The 7 floating platforms of the Arbiters remained in their semicircle, but 4 of them stood empty, their former occupants now in custody awaiting trial for their roles in the memory erasure conspiracy. Grand Arbiter Zolan and the Vexari representative, Vexloran, were notably absent, their positions vacant following their arrest for crimes against sentient consciousness. The remaining 3 arbiters, bar those who had been unaware of the conspiracy, conducted the proceedings with subdued humility. "This council session will come to order," announced Acting Grand Arbiter Thaloria, a philosopher from a species known for their absolute commitment to truth. "We gather to address the grave injustice perpetrated against humanity and, indeed, against all sentient beings whose memories were altered without consent." The chamber, despite its crowding, fell into a profound silence. The restoration of memories had occurred 3 standard weeks ago, and the galaxy was still adjusting to the cognitive dissonance of remembering what had been forcibly forgotten. "Admiral Voss," Thaloria continued, "on behalf of the Galactic Council, I formally acknowledge the crime committed against Earth and humanity. The memory erasure was an unconscionable violation of the most fundamental rights of consciousness." Ilara nodded, her expression solemn but without vindictiveness. "The people of Earth accept your acknowledgement, Arbiter. We did not come seeking retribution, but restoration, not just of memory, but of trust." In the upper tiers of the chamber, Talon Drez watched with quiet satisfaction. Beside him sat dozens of others like Himmock aliens who had retained their memories of humanity, despite the erasure. They had been honored as the Rememberers, crucial links in the chain that had led to the restoration. The consequences of the erasure extended far beyond diplomatic relations, Ilara continued, her voice carrying effortlessly through the vast space. Critical technologies failed. Medical procedures were forgotten. Trade routes collapsed. The Vexari and their collaborators did not understand how deeply humanity had integrated into the fabric of galactic society. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the assembly. In the 3 weeks since memories had been restored, the galaxy had been piecing together the extent of the damage. Systems that had mysteriously failed now functioned again as their human designers returned to maintain them. Medical techniques that had been partially forgotten were fully implemented once more, saving countless lives. But the most profound loss, Ilara said, her voice softening, was not technological but relational. Friendships between species were severed. Families of mixed heritage were torn apart. Collaborative projects spanning decades were abandoned. The erasure did not just remove facts from minds, it removed connections from hearts. Many in the chamber lowered their eyes or equivalent sensory organs, feeling the truth of her words. The memory erasure had revealed something profound about consciousness itself. That memory was not merely data storage but the foundation of identity and relationship. "We now face crucial questions," Ilara continued. How do we prevent such an atrocity from happening again? How do we rebuild trust? And perhaps most importantly, how do we move forward together? From the shadows at the edge of the chamber, a new group of beings emerged. Tall, translucent, and rippling with colors that seemed to exist partially outside normal space-time. The representatives of the Aeon Collective, making an unprecedented formal appearance before the council. The Aeons, whispered delegates to each other in astonishment. The ancient species rarely involved themselves in galactic affairs, preferring to observe from their unique perspective, partially outside conventional reality. We have observed this violation of consciousness, said the lead Aeon, its voice seeming to originate from everywhere and nowhere simultaneously, and we have observed humanity's response. Where revenge might have been sought, reconciliation was offered. Where power might have been seized, cooperation was extended. The chamber remained utterly silent as the ancient being continued. Humanity's response reveals why they are unique among the younger species. Their neural configuration, allowing quantum processes within their consciousness, gives them not just technological advantage but ethical insight. They understand perhaps better than most that consciousness is both individual and collective, both separate and connected. The Aeon gestured toward Admiral Rourke, who stood with the human delegation. When millions of humans synchronized their consciousness to reverse the erasure, they demonstrated this truth in the most profound way possible. They did not simply broadcast information, they shared experience. Rourke stepped forward to stand beside Alara. What the Aeon says is true. During the synchronization, 3 million humans experienced a moment of shared consciousness. We felt each other's fears, hopes, memories, a unity that transcended individual identity without erasing it. And in that moment, Alara added, we made a collective decision. The quantum energy we generated could have been weaponized or used to punish those who sought to erase us. Instead, we chose to use it solely for restoration, acting grand arbiter. Thaloria leaned forward with visible interest. Are you suggesting that this neural synchronization technology could be used again? Perhaps as a means of cross-species understanding? With modifications, yes, answered a new voice. Dr. Naomi Wellesley joined the human representatives at the center of the chamber. The quantum principles that allowed human minds to synchronize could be adapted for cross-species consciousness sharing. Not to erase individuality, but to enhance mutual understanding. The implications rippled through the assembly. The very technology that had made possible the reversal of the memory erasure could now become a foundation for unprecedented cooperation between species. We propose a new galactic accord, Alara announced. One based not merely on diplomatic protocols but on genuine shared experience. Limited consensual consciousness sharing between representatives of different species are not to homogenize our perspectives, but to truly understand our differences. The proposal was revolutionary, challenging the very foundations of how species had interacted for millennia. Many delegates looked uncomfortable, others intrigued, still others openly enthusiastic. This would require safeguards, noted the Arcturian representative cautiously. Absolutely, Alara agreed. Participation would be entirely voluntary. The technology would be jointly controlled by all member species, with the Aeon Collective serving as neutral guardians of the protocols. The lead Aeon nodded its translucent form in confirmation. We would ensure that no consciousness is unduly influenced or altered against its will. What happened to humanity must never be repeated. As the Council deliberated the proposal, Admiral Rourke received an urgent communication. He leaned toward Alara, speaking softly. The Vexari contingent has requested a meeting. Not their political leadership, their scientists and philosophers, those who opposed the memory erasure but were silenced. Alara raised an eyebrow. What do they want? To apologize, Rourke said simply, and to offer their expertise in studying the quantum nature of consciousness. They believe their species and ours might have complementary insights. Alara nodded. Arrange it. Reconciliation must begin somewhere. The council session continued for hours as species after species offered their perspectives on humanity's proposal. Some expressed caution, others enthusiasm, but all recognized that the galaxy had changed irrevocably. The memory erasure and its reversal had demonstrated both the fragility and the resilience of consciousness itself. As the formal proceedings concluded, Talon Drez approached the human delegation. Around him clustered dozens of rememberers from various species. Admiral Voss, he said, extending his hand in the human greeting gesture he had learned years ago. What you and your people accomplished was unprecedented. You not only restored yourselves to galactic memory, you enhanced the galaxy's understanding of memory itself. Ilara clasped his hand warmly. We couldn't have done it without allies like you, Talon. Those who remembered when all others forgot. That experience changed us, Talon admitted. To remember what others had forgotten or to hold truth that others denied. It gave us a perspective few have ever had. A perspective that will be valuable as we move forward, Ilara noted. The Council has approved preliminary studies into cross-species consciousness sharing. Would you and the other rememberers consider participating? We would be honored, Talon said without hesitation.